Next thing we want to talk about Colorado. I brought this team up when CD and I were bringing up teams that we wanted to talk about. Last year, we talked about like the reason that their schedule was going to be tough, was because they're out of conference. And it actually, during the season, we kind of learned that their out of conference might not have been as tough as we originally thought it was going to be. And it turns out their conference schedule was actually really tough because the Pac-12 was a pretty good conference last year relative to what it had been. This year, I think it's the same as it was last year. I think this conference schedule is brutal. I mean, like in terms of like the conference schedule, this conference schedule versus West Virginia's conference schedule, I think this one's worse. I think this one's worse because you also draw Utah. I get Utah at home, but you also draw Utah, and they're probably the favorite to win the Big 12 next year. Not saying that they will, but that's just what odds makers have met. That's what they're power rated as of this moment on March 11th when we're recording this. And then you're out of conference. You play Nebraska again at Nebraska. Second year with Matt Rule. I would imagine that team's a lot better. You're gonna have Dylan Raiola potentially playing quarterback there, so hopefully you get some upgraded quarterback play. Colorado State is going to continue to get better. You heard me right. They're going to continue to get better. Colorado State is going to get better, and you play Colorado State at Colorado State. We remember that game from last year. That was an awesome game. And then you also play one of the best um, FCS programs, in North Dakota State. So it's you're out of conference. You're playing three teams that like you could lose to. You don't like to see a Power Five team lose to an FCS team, but like North Dakota State's one of those teams like where it's like not that it's an exception, but it's you could see it happening maybe, you know. Now I do expect Colorado to maybe be better than they were last year. I think Deion's done a pretty decent job building this roster. We were not going to talk about their recruiting class for this video, but yeah, their Big 12 schedule, what's tough about it, Kansas State at Arizona, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State. Right. I mean that's pretty brutal. West Virginia, the only difference in West Virginia's schedule and Colorado's schedule is that they don't have to play Iowa State, but you substitute Utah in there for Iowa State.
Yeah.
It's basically like their schedules are nearly identical. Actually, their conference schedules are nearly identical, except for that. That's pretty wild. I don't know how that happened, but
Yeah.
yeah. So it actually, on paper, I guess it's tougher, even though I think Iowa State could be an absolute unit of a team. But uh, yeah, this is a tough schedule for Colorado. I'm not going to talk about how many wins that this potentially could mean for them, but I mean, what are your thoughts? I know I brought this up, but what are your thoughts on Colorado's schedule for 2024?
Yeah. I don't feel, I don't think any game here is an auto lock where I'm going to bet my savings that they can win. Yes, they should beat North Dakota State. Like you mentioned, no, it's a damn good North Dakota State. Now it's not, 2020 North Dakota State, not 2019 North Dakota State, right? Where they were just dominating everybody in the FCS because you've got some better teams up, the Jackrabbits, South Dakota State, and all that good stuff. And their coaches over at USC now. But still, I that's not someone to be messed with, right? Especially with how volatile they kind of play, right? With their play style. If you get after the quarterback, you're gonna be able to have a chance to win that football game at Nebraska, like you mentioned, better year two with Matt Rule in Lincoln. That's not gonna be easy to play in. And then at Colorado State, that game was brutal last year. And that was very, very tough. And obviously, even Baylor, I mean, yes, they're not as good as they have been, right? Back 2021 season and all that. But who knows what Daquan Finn can do there? Who knows if Dave Aranda can turn it around and maybe his last stand there as Baylor coach, right? But best case scenario, you're 4-0, right? Maybe 3-1. Then you still have to go on a really, really tough schedule. And like you mentioned, at UCF is not easy. Kansas State's going to be damn good. They'll be dogs in that game at Arizona. Arizona brings a ton back. And obviously looking to make a run with Brent Brennan in year one. Since that even, who knows? They're getting better with Scott Satterfield. Brendan Sorsby comes in. Yeah, I don't know. To me, I love that you brought this team up because they bring back a lot. They're bringing in a lot transfer wise, trying to shore up that O line and the D line and all that good stuff. And obviously Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn and Marion Miller, all those guys give you chances to win football games. But it's also like to go a full 14-week. Yes, you get two buys, which helps Colorado more than other teams, I think, because their depth maybe isn't what it is, and you're also relying on maybe a couple players more than other teams are. But also to go in the meat and potatoes of a schedule is not easy. We saw that last year with the Pac-12. Yes, the Pac-12 was very good. You'd have to play Oregon, you had to play Utah and USC, UCLA at UCLA. Oregon State was very good. at Washington State and Cam Ward. Obviously, the Big 12 is pretty tough in its own right, but not the same high level caliber teams that you played a year ago. Still, though, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. Yeah, I love that you brought them up. Their overall win total is 5.5. Right, it's about one or two wins more than it was just a year ago. And yeah, 6 wins is going to be pretty damn tough to be at. For Dion and this crew here, I think they can do it absolutely. But you're also going to have to beat some teams you shouldn't beat. And to me, that's
Yes.
never an easy ask to hit an over when you have to upset some teams and beat everybody you're supposed to. And for a team with the volatility that Colorado brings you, right, that's never an easy and comfortable thing to do.
Yes, I agree. And okay, looking at the games, what are the games that they need to win to hit their win total, right? That you have to beat Cincinnati, you have to beat Colorado State, you have to beat North Dakota State, right? And then
Baylor. You probably have to beat Baylor.
and then you probably have to beat Baylor at home. Okay, so that's four. So then you got to find two more wins on this schedule. And maybe they can, but it's tough because the Nebraska game's on the road, which like of the games that you would think like they have the best chance of winning, they're all on the road, right? Like of the remaining ones, right? UCF is on the road, Nebraska is on the road, Arizona is on the road, Texas Tech is on the road. Like brutal, man, absolutely brutal. So I did want to include them on this list. They're not the only team in the Big 12 with along with West Virginia that has a schedule relative to the other schedules in the Big 12. They're not the only one with it. They're not the only two with tough schedules, right? They're not the only two with tough schedules, but um, definitely wanted to bring them up here because I mean we talked about it last year. It was a tough schedule last year, and I thought they overperformed. I you know like they should have beaten Stanford, which is ridiculous. That Stanford under 2.5 didn't cash because of freaking Colorado blowing a 30-point lead at half. Unbelievable there, but yeah, I mean
Yeah,
Colorado won some ball games, so
they played some teams close down the stretch. They were getting better. They were still bought in, still working hard. But also, here's this. Let me approach this for you, right? Let's say you're Fox or ESPN, whoever has the rights to the Big 12 in that week 7. Let's say Colorado somehow goes 5-0, right? They beat Nebraska on the road, right? They beat UCF on the road, right? They beat the other teams. And Kansas State's also undefeated. They got to beat Arizona. They got to beat Oklahoma State and some other teams to get to there. But they come off by week 6 to week 7. That matchup, two undefeated Big 12 teams. Are you kidding me? Both probably in the top 15. That is going to be a dream for the pack for the Big 12 for sure, and also ESPN or whoever's hosting that, because game day will be there. Dion will be going nuts. The ratings will be crazy. But yeah, Colorado, yeah, that'd be awesome. Obviously for a lot of fans and obviously college football in general. But again, they're on the schedule for a reason. It's not Florida's tough, but it's also Big 12 tough, and it's Colorado tough. Like this is not an easy schedule for them to have a 5.5 win total and to hope to make a jump year 2 with Dion and to take advantage of a generational quarterback like Shador Sanders.